Let's start the show.
Good evening. Hello, everyone, or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are tuned into. Welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner. That is me. Yes. So if the show and have no clue who I am, my name is Lindsey Vertner. I'm an award-winning peak potential strategist and transformational speaker. I help high-achieving women who struggle with perfectionism, overthinking, and doubt learn how to master their mindset, okay? That is what I do, and tonight we have another yummy episode of the Happy Hour Show. Now listen, y'all know that this is a conversation between myself, our beautiful guest who I'm going to introduce in just a moment, and I know you're going to love her, and you. So wherever you are tuned in from, make sure you comment, love, share this video out. Comment where you are tuning in from, whether you're watching or listening. And then you know how we do. If you're watching live right now, comment all the way live. And if you're catching the replay later on, it's okay. We still love you. Comment replay all day, okay? I see your comments rolling in already. And before we get to that, I have to go ahead and introduce tonight's very, very special guest, because you probably have some sort of touch to everything she's touched, and you didn't even know it. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest, who is best known as a beast in the media streets. Her name is TeeJ Mercer. She's truly a walking exclamation point, which we're going to talk about what that means in a moment. For over 2 decades, TeeJ has worked on major Hollywood projects with A-list talent like Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, and Samuel Jackson. She has the funniest story about that. She's worked on hits such as Shrek, The Incredibles, Shaft, and for Dreamworks, Walt Disney, Warner Brothers, not to mention ABC, NBC, and MTV, and so much more. So if you watch TV or if you watch movies, then you've probably seen a lot of her work, because she's not new to this. She's true to this. When she isn't being the world's greatest hugger or the celebrity bingo boss, TeeJ is busy showing authors, experts, coaches, and entrepreneurs how to book themselves in the media without a publicist and without being a celebrity. So without further ado, I want to introduce the chief noisemaker of Media Mavericks Academy, Miss TeeJ Mercer.
Yay! Hi, my Lindsey.
Hello. Look, she's already bringing the fun and the happiness. So I know that y'all are going to love her.
I got my drink too. I got my drink.
Yes. Hopefully all of the guests have grabbed their drinks and joined the chat as well. We have people tuned in from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Hey, Dr.
Miss Alea is here.
Yeah.
Angela from San Antonio.
Hi, Angela.
Yes. Y'all keep the comments coming. Remember, this is a conversation between us and you, so you got to talk with us, okay? So, Miss TeeJ, I am honored to have you on the show, and I know I gave like a smidget of your resume and what you do now. But before we get into all of that goodness, I want you to take us back and tell us, like, who is TeeJ really? Like, give us the good tea. Who are you behind the scenes? Where'd you come from?
Lord Jesus. Well, some people who may be watching who actually know me, they like, y'all don't want to know who the real TeeJ is. especially my bingo squad. But I am TeeJ Mercer. Actually, my name is Tawan, and I am born and raised in a small town of Jackson, Tennessee, where I grew up thinking I would be some kind of in the performing arts, but also an Air Force pilot. Yeah, don't even know how that. don't even know. But I am a graduate of the Howard University. Howard University, where I studied television production and graduated in 1994. I know, don't let the black don't crack melanin pop and fool you. But I graduated in 1994 with a degree in television production out of the School of Communications. And I have been obnoxious, loud, insufferable about the Howard University ever since I was at the Howard University. So everybody who jumping on the bandwagon and rocking HBCU and Howard, yeah, that ain't been my story. My friends, my pals, they will tell you I've been like this since day one. I rock, I stand, I go hard for all HBCUs, not just Howard. And I am a Jesus girl. So you might know that, depending on how this conversation goes. You need to know that, because if I'm nothing else, I'm going to tell you the truth. Now, whatever else comes out of my mouth, chew the meat and spit out the bones. But in order for me to be fully who I'm called to be, I got to tell you, I'm a Jesus girl. And I lived in LA, where I worked in Hollywood for 25 years. But a week before the lockdown, I moved to Atlanta to produce and host TV shows for and about HBCUs. Told you, I'm true to this. And I love glasses and Chuck Taylor bling sneakers. And let me see, what else should I tell them? I drive my people who are called to walk with me. I drive them crazy. And I see some of them popping in right now, but yes, I drive them crazy. They will attest to that, but they love me and they can't get rid of me because they're called to me. So yeah, that's who I am in a nutshell, pretty much.
Listen, I love your energy, and I know the guests, the viewers and the listeners are also loving your energy already. And I can't believe that you drive them crazy, because every time I see you, I know I'm smiling, which is why I love you anyway.
Oh, they smile. And they smile, but then in their mind, they cussing me out.
Hey, but we love it. You are going to stay true to who you are, but you recognize who you are.
You recognize who I am. And it's like, I tell them, like, yo, this is who y'all married. So there's a good chance at 48 years old, I'm not going to change. So either you going to just have to adjust and pivot and love me regardless.
Yes. So speaking of who you are, were you like this as a child, just
yes,
going and flamboyant?
Yes. Yes, to my mother's chagrin. Yes, I have always been this way. I've always been talkative. I make friends quite easily. The way God built me, and I was just talking to my partner earlier today, my business partner. It's just the way God built me. I tend to attract people, and it's crazy. My best friend used to always tell me growing up in high school, she was like, you just weird. You can be at a gas station and people you don't even know will walk up and just start talking to you. Like grown people would just start talking to me and telling me their problems. You know, I was always I was one of those talkative kids that every first 6 weeks of every school year, my mother was going to undoubtedly get a note that says she talks entirely too much. She's a good kid. And so it got to the point where my mother would just get ahead of it and say, listen, I already know for the first 6 weeks, she's excited about her new class. She's going to talk a lot. She'll settle down, but she's going to talk a lot. And matter of fact, I learned the meaning of loquacious because my 8th grade English teacher yelled at me and was like, Mercer, you are so loquacious. Go over there, and I want you to sit over there at the front of the class so I can keep an eye on you. And so I was like, well, Miss Douglas, what's loquacious? And she's like, go look it up. So about 5 years ago, my mother, maybe not 5 years, but my mother was honored as the Delta of the Year. My mother is a Golden Life member, committed member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, which ironically was founded on the campus of the Howard University. So I ran into my 8th grade English teacher there. And I was so happy to go up to her. And even now, I still tell my mother. So you know that people pay me to talk now, right? Like, people actually pay to hear me run my mouth. And she was like, Lord, thank you, Jesus, Mercer. Thank you, Jesus, Mercer. So yes, I have been this way my whole entire life.
Oh my goodness, I love it. And it's actually a really good point that I hope the audience picked up on, because oftentimes when we are trying to live up to the expectations of other people and not be true to ourselves, we kind of try to hide away the things about us that make us us. And usually that very thing is a part of walking in our bigger purpose. So with that said, how would you say you were able to kind of start to find your purpose with all the talking that you were doing and how it led you to what you're doing today? Because you said you wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah,
and arts and how did you bring it all together?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I went into the Howard University as a business major. And I had no business, Lindsey, going in as a business major. And I was miserable that first semester of my freshman year. And, but business was that thing that, was solid. You can have a good job. You can go into corporate. Girl, I ain't worked a day in corporate in my whole life at this point. And I remember coming home and telling my mother, because, Howard has a great fine arts department. We've produced Debbie Allen. We've produced Chadwick Boseman. We've produced Taraji P. Henson. He didn't graduate, but we produced Anthony Andrews. And no, I don't mean that as shade. No. I don't mean that as shade. I'm just saying he didn't graduate officially. He's actually going back to Howard, but Anthony Anderson. So no shade. And so we have a great fine arts department, but I was scared, because here I was, we got, my mother let me turn down 4-year scholarships to go to PWIs, predominantly white institutions, for her to struggle to put me through Howard. So there was no way I wanted to come with, waste my mother's money, come out of Howard and not have a job. So I didn't go in pursuing. I was an international business major. People who know me now, I'm sure they like, what? But I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I'm miserable. I don't like this. And so she said, well, where do you want to go? I was like, I really want to go into the School of Communications. I want to get into television. She was like, well, do that. My mother has always been one of those people that she never clipped my wings. If I told my mama I wanted to be a dog fighter, she was like, okay, how much it costs? What do you need? And just let me know what you're going to need for you to be the best dog fighter you could. So, it wasn't surprising to me that was her response, but I felt like I needed her blessing. So the second semester, I went in with School of Communications with the focus on television production. And baby, I never looked back. I did not look back. I took off. I decided what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a television editor. So I went after my very first internship in Hollywood. And at the time, you got to remember, Lord, I'm dating myself. So at the time, there was no internet. So everything was done by mail. There was no email, and I landed my first internship in Hollywood at a station called Channel 9. And you got to just put this in perspective that I grew up in a very small town, insulated. No, we didn't have social media, none of that. So Hollywood was like leaving the country, for me. And my mother, she let me keep her car during the summertime so I could pursue my internship. And at my very first internship, I met a Black woman who went to Spelman. And if anybody who's gone to an HBCU, you know, when we're out in the world, we'll talk about each other all day. I see Dr. Stevie is here. She's North Carolina A&T. And behind closed doors, I can't stand Aggies. I mean, like about who's who and who's better. I think I saw Simonia pop in. She went to Spelman. Okay, I can't stand Spelman. Unless I'm out in the real world and somebody else talk about Spelman, then you're going to think I went to Spelman. You're going to think I'm a North Carolina A&T Aggie because I'm going to fight you over them. And so... But we know in that outside world, we look out for each other. So this Black woman who was an editor, I had never really thought about editing as a career. The minute she found out there was an intern doing an internship from Howard University, she came and sought me out because she needed to know, because I'm brown. Very few brown people in this situation. So she took me under her wing and introduced me to this world that I had never experienced. And because of her, I found out that that's where I wanted to be an editor. And so that's where I really found my calling of really walking in. And I guess that may be a confusing thing because when you think about editors, we spend all day, hours and hours, like I posted the other day that I forgot that I worked on the film Brother Bear, and I also worked on The Incredibles. And so The Incredibles, I spent 36 hours working on it with 15 minutes of sleep because I had to hit a deadline. And as an editor, all I do is spend time alone. So it may confuse people to know that to see all of this, you know, but then I was an editor. So you know what, we'll get to that part of the conversation, but that was part of how I got to this point.
Oh goodness. I love it. I love it. If you are just tuning in, you are watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and our very, very happy guest, Miss TeeJ Mercer, the chief noisemaker at Media Mavericks Academy. And she has produced probably most everything you watch on TV and all the movies because she's just that fly. Over here in the comments, I see it. Stevie says, we had a whole time at lunch in Atlanta talking junk about these HBCUs. So true. You won't find us in the streets talking about it, though. Mm-hmm.
Howard's biggest rival is Hampton University. So behind closed doors, you will hear us talk trash about Hampton all day long. But if I catch an outsider talking about Hampton, it's the Hampton Pirates. All of a sudden, you would think that I was a Hampton Pirate. You will not come for Hampton on my watch.
Yes. Make sure you comment, love, share this video. Talk to us down in the comments because this is a conversation, engagement between all of us, myself, TeeJ, and you. So hopefully you have your drink ready as well because we'll be needing that in just a moment. But before we hop to that segment, there is a question that I want to ask you that kind of goes along with what you just said before we kind of switch gears here. But you mentioned your mother has always been your biggest fan and she gave you that support. So what advice would you give to the person out there that is just kind of miserable in their lives and they're not walking in their purpose, but they don't necessarily have that person to support them and encourage them to follow their dreams? What advice would you give to that person?
Find yourself a group of people who will. I mean, I'm a very simplistic kind of person, Lindsey. Like, I'm deep, some people say I'm deep, but I'm really not. For me, it really boils down to, I don't spend time with people who don't think I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. I may get on their last nerve, but it's something that, I've been very blessed to be able to choose. But at the same time, I am that person for other people. You know what I'm saying? I'm a good friend. Like, I may not be one that I don't want to go shopping with you because I hate shopping, but I'm that chick you want to call in a crisis because I'll get some stuff handled. I'm known as the world's greatest hugger because hugging is my ministry. That's a story too that you may be interested in of how I even got that ministry. But I will definitely make sure I surround myself with people who believe in me and believe and see at my core, even when I'm not at my best, that they still see the good in me. they still will give me grace of, TeeJ, you missed that, but we still love you. But it's kind of got to go down. You got to go into prayer. I mean, to be honest with you, I said I'm a Jesus girl, so chew the meat, spit out the bones. I go back to how God defines me. So I don't hold on to people's description of me. I hold on to God's definition of me. So let me give you an analogy of that. So a chair can be described as a red chair, a blue chair, a green chair, what have you. But at its core, a chair is defined as a piece of equipment that holds your butt up, right? I don't care how it's described. The main point of the chair is to serve as an instrument to hold you up. So when you start taking in the way people describe you, you sometimes will negate, but that does not measure up to God, how God defined me. He defined me as fearfully and wonderfully made.
Okay.
So if I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, it really don't matter how you describe me if you leaning on the negative, because I'm still go back to the way God sees me is that I'm wonderfully made. So I start there, but then I make sure I surround myself with people that just love me. That's the end of the end of it. They just have to love me.
I love that. I love that. And I hope y'all caught that. Don't hold on to other people's description of you. Hold on to who God defines you to be. Y'all better quote TeeJ on that, okay? Over here in the comments, Renette says, I'm a hugger too. And Stevie says, the best hugs ever. Yes. Listen, if you are just tuning in, you're watching the Happy Hour Show with Lindsey Vertner and our lovely guest, Miss TeeJ Mercer. And right now, I think that it is a great time for everybody to grab your drinks because it's time for a little game that I like to call...
What's in your cup?
Yes! New to the show. This is What's in Your Cup. So our guest will share what she's sipping on, and then she will give us some cup cam, and I will share what I'm sipping on. And you at home, wherever you are tuned into, put in the comments what you have in your cup as well. And listen, this is hashtag no judgment zone. So whether you have water or you got a party in your cup, wink, wink, put it on in the comments and let us know what you're drinking. And if unfortunately you forgot to grab your drink, it's okay. Just put what you wish you were drinking on, and we still gonna love on you. So, Miss TeeJ, tell us what's in your cup.
I'm pretty boring, so I'm just drinking water because I gotta try to get my gallon of water down every day. So I just got water.
Okay, is it just plain water, flavored water?
It's just plain,
what brand of water does TeeJ like?
It's just plain old filtered water, a Brita filtered water. I'm boring when it comes to that.
You're not boring. You're healthy.
I'm trying to get this COVID weight up off of me.
Yes, and then I saw some Looney Tunes. Give us some cup cam. Put it nice up and close to the camera for us.
Yeah, this, believe it or not, this mug is probably 22, 23 years old. I worked for Warner Brothers on quite a few projects. And so we used to get Warner Brothers discounts. And I've always been a fan of Tasmanian Devil. You can see him there. And Marvin the Martian, which I have a whole nother big mug of just Marvin. And because I loved, Warner Brothers characters, I used to clean up in the Warner Brothers store on the lot. So, but yeah, this mug is about 22, 23 years old.
And you still use it. That is an amazing mug. They don't make stuff like that anymore. Like you use it and then it'd be torn down and broke off in a couple months, right?
Yep.
So here in my first class fly mug, got your cup can there. I am just sipping on a little Moscato today.
Nice.
So Jesus turned water to wine, right? So I took your water and I put it into some wine. Over here in the comments, let's see. Our guest, they are having, Renette is having a Plexus active drink. You'll have to tell us what Plexus is in the comments. And D is having a great glass of red wine. Now, you know you got to tell us what kind of wine, D. And Stevie says, I need to go get some water too. Okay. And they are loving your mug. Oh, but it looks like she's got Moscato. That's why she needs to get the water. We're here, Stevie. We're here. That Jesus juice. Yes. So I think that was actually the perfect segue at Jesus Juice, because I know you mentioned that you're going to get Jesus whenever you get TeeJ. And I love that you're unapologetic about that, because I know even in the corporate world, and I know, well, I don't know personally, but I assume that in the Hollywood world, that can be something that a lot of people shy away from. So with you loving on God like you do, how do you balance that with, the Hollywood energy where it's kind of like, so secular, for lack of better terms right now?
I don't. Until recently, I never thought about it, because I've always walked in who I am. So I never have thought about separating my media from my ministry. And I didn't even know it was a thing until I started doing Periscope. Y'all remember when Periscope was around? And I was teaching media, but I apparently would go in and out of the Jesus conversation effortlessly. And I will never forget, her name is Julia. She asked me if she could have a private conversation with me. And I was like, sure. And she was like, I just want to know, how do you go in and out of, talking about Jesus and your faith, and then teaching us about media? And I remember telling her, like, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to. If you don't want me to do that, you probably need to tell me. But I didn't think of it as a thing. And more I get that question all the time. I've always rocked my faith. Now, am I walking around with the Bible and Jesus? No, my countenance, my makeup is how my faith actually shows up. And as a result, when I was an editor, again, it was just something about how I get down that people will always, I would have to kick them out of my office because they want to be in my space. And I remember one of the best compliments I got after I wrapped the show. One of my producer colleagues came to me and was like, you know what? You make me want to believe in Jesus and go to church again. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, you're never judgmental. You accept me fully. And it's just the way you show up. Like, I've always thought that that's how Christians should be. And it's just like, I'm not a good person to tell you what you need to do, because I don't think about it. I just am. And that's really the truth. This is how I am on a regular basis. And I usually, when I started doing media interviews, like I said at the beginning, I'm a Jesus girl, chew the meat, spit out the bones, but if you want me to answer the question, if you want me to tell my story authentically, then he's going to come up, and if you don't like that, you may want to tune out, but I just learned as I've gotten older, I don't care. You either you're going to rock with me or you're not. If you want me to respect what your belief or what you don't believe in and let you be, then that needs to be reciprocated, because I'm really let you be. I'm working on really caring about if you love Jesus or not, because I love him. You ain't got to. We good. But I don't try to find a balance. Because for me, it's like, it's all in one. It'd be like trying to tear the piece of paper, pull the size of a piece of paper. You can't. We're inseparable. He goes everywhere with me. Now, sometimes I'm sure that he prefers not to rock with me. But, pretty much I drag him along with me.
And I think that goes right back to that point about being authentically who you are, because you don't try to hide it and you never have. And so it's just natural, and it's not people trying to run from you. They're trying to be around you because they enjoy your energy. They enjoy your light and the happiness that you bring into the space, but you're being authentically you. So
when I wrote my first book, one of my colleagues, I was still editing, and I wrote my first book, 40 Days Till 40. And she is an atheist and love her to death. Still, we're the best of friends. And she bought 3 copies of my Jesus-filled book. 3. Because she loved it so much that she wanted to make sure her mom had one, a friend had one. So for me, it's like, you know what? I'm going to accept that people are going to just like me for who I am. Period. Mm-hmm. And Jesus comes along with that package. But I don't spend a lot of time in my head worried about if people, are going to be turned off by my Jesus side. I don't.
Listen, that's the way that you have to be. You have to be that, and you can't be worried about it. I love how you were like, I don't really care what you think. You're going to like me or not. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they do care what others think. And then that's how we find ourselves putting on those masks where we're trying to, again, live up to those expectations of other people. And then we find ourselves unhappy.
Well, let me say that, because I want to be truthful across the board. I do care about what certain people think. The people that I love and who are friends with me, my team, I do care. I'm not that person. Like, I don't give a damn what nobody thinks. Better than me. I think if you live that kind of existence, you really are telling that you live a lonely life. And what kind of love is this is just my perception. What kind of love do you really have that if you don't care about what nobody thinks? It's so wonderful. And I was just thinking about this when I was getting ready for this interview. It's so wonderful to be loved and to have care about who you disappoint. Like, that means you love them and they love you, so you don't want to disappoint them. Now, in certain situations, everybody gets an opinion, but not everybody gets a vote. Like, I've had to have situations where, okay, I know you think I should do it this way, but I'm telling you, this is the way God is telling me to do. And it's not going to make you happy, but I got to be obedient to him. But I think for me, I always say that if you get to the top and you think it's lonely, that means you didn't take some people with you.
Ooh.
That onus is on you. If it's lonely at the top, it's a good chance it's your fault. Because that means you weren't reaching back and lifting as you climb. This whole thing that we're getting ready to do with HBCUs, I'm taking everybody with me. As many people that who can hook their trains to my caboose, we about to ride this thing and do some really good stuff for the HBCUs. And like the people who've been rocking and believing and paying bills for me when I didn't have money, I'm out here trying to do what God was telling me to do. It's like, no, what I'm building now is we all gonna eat. But I think it's important to have a distinction of the people who you do care. You should care what certain people think, because that means that there's a love and a respect and an honor between you. And what kind of life would you be living if you don't have anybody that you care, about what they think? So no, I'm not that chick. Like, I don't care what nobody think. I'm gonna be me. No, that ain't my story.
Yes. You have dropped so many good nuggets, and that is good to define. I love how you said that about, if it's lonely, then you probably left some people behind that you were supposed to bring with you. And I think that goes to show, like, when you're walking in your purpose, one, God is always going to make room for you, but it's all about reaching back and helping others to uplift and be encouraged and to walk in their purpose as well. So I love that you mentioned that. And I love that you define that difference between, there's the one side that says, I don't care about nothing. That's not who you want to be. But then there's the other side that says, I do care about some things. However, I'm not going to feed into your expectations, only God's definition of who I should be.
Yep. That's it. That nails it.
So speaking of HBCU, which for my audio listeners out there, that stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities.
Which I went to the Howard University.
One more time for the folks in the balcony.
I graduated from the Howard University.
Yes. So I know that you did something amazing last year with COVID. And listen, if you have not heard of Celebrity Bingo Boss, here is the one and only organizer of that, okay? She gathered all of her peoples, and in less than a month, she raised over $1 million in cash and prizes in less than a month, y'all, for 2020 graduates of HBCUs, all because they didn't get to have their graduation. Now, isn't that amazing? Show her some love in the comments. Say yes.
Show my team some love. I didn't do that by myself. I am not one who, you know, it's like the social media have people out here like, I'm gonna do this. I'm a boss. I got this. I hate the term self-made millionaire.
Me too.
I hate that term because I'm like, you mean nobody helped you? So some of my bingo squad are even here. And so I cringe every time you were like, she did. It's like, no, we did. I did not do this by myself. But yes, we had started planning. I was lonely. Like I said, I had just moved to Atlanta on a God assignment. That's a whole nother idea because I was a whole nother problem. Because I was like, God, I am not feeling you right now. You uprooted my life from LA, which I loved. I was loving LA. Been there for 25 years. That was home. And then moved me to Atlanta. And then you knew the world was going to just stop. Like, dude, what in the heck did you go to sleep up there? So I wasn't feeling him. I'm gonna just keep it real. Like, this is how God and I get down. So he know his kid. He know who he made. And I was really lonely. It was, you know, as you can tell, I'm an introvert. No, I'm just kidding. Clearly, I'm an extrovert. And you mean to tell me you putting me in a new city? I can't be out there meeting people. I can't be out there hugging on people. And I'm just here. And so it was impacting my mental health. And I decided that I cannot be the only person. And I'm a big believer at using what's in your hands. So one of the first things that I did was I went to God. I was like, okay, what do you want me to do to help these parents who, you know, all of a sudden they thrown in homeschool? And so the first thing he had me create was story time with Auntie TeeJ, where every weekday I went live for half an hour and read to kids. From there, I started doing a virtual bingo game that was only supposed to be one night, 10 games, $100 total. So we're going to play for 10 games, 10 games or $10 each. And in about a week, I had accumulated like $2,000 in cash and prizes because people started donating. And so we played, you know, regular bingo. And I should have known it was as a setup, but God caught me sleeping. So I was attracting these serious bingo players, the one who was going into the bingo halls. And they would pounce on me and I'll be like, yo, you realize you didn't pay to get up in this joint. So pipe down. But what they were helping me was like, working out the kinks, what the rules are. Cause I just like playing bingo at my family reunion. I ain't never stepped inside of a bingo hall. But they were helping me. And I was like, listen, if you rock with me, know that I'm new to this, but I'm trying to make it a good experience. So we ended up just playing regular bingo for 6 weeks. And by the end of the 6 weeks, it was almost $10,000 in cash and prizes that I had given away because people kept showing up. So about 2 weeks before the last game, Holy Spirit tricked me. And I started looking at getting sad about all the HBCUs who were losing their graduations. And again, HBCU culture, we are like fanatics. Our graduations are lit, our homecomings are lit. And I really legitimately got sad, Lindsey, that these kids who had worked, is making me tear up now. I don't know why, but I really got sad that these kids who had worked so hard did not get to have the day that I had. Like, I still remember my graduation. And so I remember it was a Sunday morning. I was just laying on my bed and I was like, God, I don't know how you're going to even answer this prayer, but what can I do? What's in my hand? What can I do to help these kids who have lost all of their graduations? And, only way I can interpret it or translate is the Holy Spirit was like, oh, so you thought the other bingo was just for you because you were lonely. No, honey, it was a setup. It was a setup that you were working out all the kinks, because I need you now to do an HBCU bingo. Say what now?
Okay.
That wasn't the answer I was expecting. So I was like, and again, this may be offensive to the Jesus lovers, but this is how God and I get down. And so I was like, all right, so I want you to prove yourself. So if you want me to do this, if this is really you, show me how I can raise $100,000 to give away to these kids. And then I'll believe that this is you. Like, I'm going to put it back on you. Show me how I can do 100,000 in cash prizes, however you want to do it, just to give it away to these kids. Lindsey, in 3 days, I was already at 60,000.
Woo!
1,000 in a week. And that was without me really out there. There was no fundraising campaign. It was just me leveraging what was in my hand, which was my network of people. People like Dr. Stevie, came on board. Simonia came on board. Erica Baldwin is here. I think I saw her. She came on board. And I basically told them on the first meeting, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, y'all. I'm going to just be honest with you. Here's all I know is we about to fly this plane, and we're going to have to build the plane as we fly. So at some point, I'm going to have to turn around and ask somebody, do they have a wheel? Because it's time to land. And those people stuck around me and they helped me. And so by the end of it, we have produced like what can be attributed to like 26 hours of live television. And here's the thing. The only person on the squad who had ever done producing in television was me. The rest of the team had never done television. For the first Saturday, we played for 4 hours straight. The second Saturday, we played for 6 hours straight. The third Saturday, we played for 7 hours straight. And the finale episode, we played for 9 hours straight. I gave them 2 breaks. And we had celebrity pop-ins. We had I had Beyonce's keyboardist pop in and judge a dancing contest. I had a Grammy winner deliver the commencement address. And it just blew up into this amazing thing that these kids, are still sending me letters about how they felt seen during that period, that they had a great time. And while it cannot ever take the place of their graduation, it did make them feel special that somebody saw them. And that's what my squad and I did last year. And so now we're merging into the next level of what we're doing on this HBCU project. We're not announcing the name just yet, but we're going to start small. It's like, do not despise small beginnings, like the word says. So we're starting small and we're building this whole HBCU philanthropic empire that I'm not doing by myself. I got a whole squad behind me now.
Yes, there were so many nuggets in what you just said. Over here in the comments, Stevie says, it has been one of the biggest displays of God's hand moving that I've ever seen in my life. And just in case the viewers and listeners missed it at home, I need to point out what you just told them, what you just illustrated to them in a real life experience. Too many times we are hesitant, we're apprehensive to move where God is moving us, or to chase after our goals and our dreams and the visions that we have, because we're looking at what we have. And so I love that analogy that you said, we're flying this plane, but we're going to have to build it as we're flying, because you didn't have the game plan. You didn't have the pieces. You didn't have the roadmap. You didn't have the team and the tools. Like, you just did what God told you to do. And it was a small step that grew, and he brought you everybody that you needed, your support team, all the people helping you with the bingo pieces, helping you with the prizes. And you were able to be a blessing while doing something that brought you joy as well. And so I just wanted to make sure that I pointed that gem out for all the viewers and listeners. And if you missed it, please go back and watch the replay, okay? Because that was a whole sermon right in that little illustration.
I actually did a TED talk called That's a Good Bingo, Use What's in Your Hand. It's on YouTube. But yeah, I did a TED talk about it because that's a pretty big part of who I am. I'm always telling people what's in your hand. God can use what is in your hand and he's going to bless it. And like, I remember as we're discussing this whole next level with the HBCU project, I was discussing with my business partner that I flashed back to, I remember when I started the first bingo, I was asking God, like, well, God, I can invest more. Why just $100? Like, why do you want me to just start with 100? And he didn't answer me at the time. He answered me he answered me after we actually were at 1.4 million in cash prizes. And he then answered and told me, I wanted you to start with 100 so you can really see what my multiplication looks like.
Woo!
I took you from 100 to 1.4. And all you did was do what I told you to do. People needed to see. And one of the things that people always say about me, Lindsey, is that God, he can trust me. Like, I'm that fool that I'm Peter. I'm like, okay, I want to learn to walk on water. So can I get up out of this boat? I am one that God says I may, tussle with it for a minute. But if he tell me to do something crazy, hence leave my beloved LA and move to Atlanta, I'll do it. I'll do it. I may, ask for 50-11 signs before I do it, but I will do it. And it is the most exciting example of really watching God take nothing, $100. And the 1.4 million is just actually what we can tangibly track. That doesn't include the experiences we gave these kids. Like, if I would have to try to assign a dollar figure, it would be like more like 5 million of the value of the experiences that these kids got in that month. So I watched my God go from 100 to well over 1 million. And I didn't even have to put in the work. If people were knocking on our door and just going, what do you need? What can I give? I have this. Will this help?
I love that.
I'm looking for that same. I told my team the other day, I'm watching it with excited anticipation of watching what God is getting ready to do next in this next level of the HBCU project. So for those of you, if anything I say about these HBCUs, it resonates, please make sure you follow me on social media because I'll be talking about it more. I'll be sending out the calls of, help of people who want to rock with us on this. If, you find that this is something that God is calling you to. But like I said, we're going to be making, the first phase, or I guess it's technically the second phase of this, either at the end of this month or sometime next month. Because I'm just excited about watching how God is going to explode this thing, because I've watched what my God can do.
Absolutely. I got goosebumps just hearing you share that story. Dee says God can use what's in your hand. Powerful, seeing a seed become a whole HBCU movement. Again, like goosebumps just hearing from $100 to 1.4 million in literally a matter of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't illustrate what God can do when he gives you a purpose and a vision, then I don't know what does. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Start with what you have. And as our TeeJ just told us, use what's in your hand. You don't have to have the whole roadmap right now. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Take the first step. And I know that just that is going to help so many viewers and listeners in doing that next step that they are called to do. So, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Now, I know you have your HBCU piece, but, you also work with authors, coaches, and consultants, helping them to get in the media with all of your years of experience being behind the scenes with TV shows and with movie production. So tell us a little bit about that. And what does that look like for you?
So that's the part where I was saying it may be a little confusing at what I do now. So in 2015, God helped me walk away from Hollywood. And again, it's one of those things that, God, are you sure? Like, send me a sign of the last sign that you showed me was a sign, but I need another sign that was the sign. So after, that, I walked away in 2015. But here's the thing, Lindsey, he didn't tell me what I was walking away to do. He just told me that season right now is up. So I walked away, and for about 3 or 4 months, I had no clue. I was like, God, Wells Fargo is still asking, did you send them the memo that wasn't going to happen? Like, they acting like they ain't heard from you because they still asking me for the mortgage. So what we going to do about this? So fast forward, I'm on the phone with a good friend, and she was having an event. She's an author that she was having an event. She was wanting to know how she could get media. And so, I just laid it out for her. And then she held the phone, and I thought the call had dropped. And she was like, T, do you realize what you've done? And I was like, no, but I'm glad to know you there. And she was like, in 8 minutes, you gave me a whole media strategy. She said, you're getting ready to hang up and go figure out a program. I'm getting ready to go post on social media that you're coming out with a new program of how we can get booked in media. And I'm going to tell people, but they got to get behind me because I'm your first client. And I was like, okay. And a few minutes later, I get a notification on Facebook, and my friend had actually done that. So I'm like, well, hell, I can't make her a lie. So I got to go create something. And that is how Media Mavericks Academy was born. And so 5 years later, 6 years, whatever years I am now, 2015, 22. Oh, yeah. So 6 years. I've helped hundreds of authors, experts, coaches, and entrepreneurs book themselves on outlets like ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CW, they've done it without a publicist and without being a celebrity. And I love it. I love being the genius behind geniuses. That's another way that God allows me to serve his kids. Because when you talk about purpose, I know my purpose, Lindsey, is to love on God's kids. That's what my purpose is. Now, I do that in different ways. I do that sometimes through the media of helping people get themselves booked. I do it through the HBCU projects. I do it when I'm speaking and I'm standing there with a line of people hugging them. It all boils down to the core. I'm called to love on God's kids. And right before I moved to LA, he even gave me another level of my job description, which is to bring his kids joy. So no matter where I am, how I show up, I don't care if I'm standing in line at McDonald's, I am to bring you joy, even if it's just for that minute. So with the Media Mavericks, we're in the middle of teaching, which you just joined to become, you're one of my Mavericks, and we're in the middle of teaching that. It's a 10-week course, and you still can enroll because it's a lifetime access. I'm teaching it live now. I haven't taught it live in 2 years. Don't know when I'll be teaching it live again. So I've carved out these 10 weeks of my life to teach it live. So you're not behind. You'll have lifetime access to it. And you can go register at MediaMavericksMasters.com. You can take advantage of a single pay or 4 pay, but as long as you use code Lindsey in all caps, you get a $2,000 discount. So make sure you use Lindsey in all caps. Our classes are on Thursday nights at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. If you were in Atlanta, you can actually be in the room with me as I teach. But yeah, we will be teaching every Thursday night, 8:15 p.m. Till about 10:15 p.m. Eastern. And what was I going to say? Through August 26th. Classes will go through August 26th. And as soon as you enroll, you'll immediately get access to your portal so you can start looking at the 2 modules that I've already taught. You're not behind. You can just pick up where we left off. And this Thursday, I'm teaching the first module on pitching, how to pitch these outlets, what needs to be in your pitch. You get scripts, you get templates of mine. You actually get my pitches. So I walk you through the A to Z, from how to book yourself, what producers are looking for, all the way to what needs to come out your mouth so that you can rock your interviews.
Yes. Did y'all hear that? Listen, she is helping y'all book yourself in the media without a publicist, without being a celebrity. So make sure that you go and you register for her course, MediaMavericksMasters.com, and use the code Lindsey, all caps, Lindsey with an E, y'all already know, to get $2,000 off your registration. And listen, y'all have got to go because she is giving you all the secrets, all the goods. If you ever just listen to her speak, you already know how much value she gives in her free stuff. So imagine what her course is like. So make sure that you go and register, whether you're a coach, author, consultant. If you are in this world and you are looking to book yourself in the media for whatever it is for your business, get yourself more publicity, then go to MediaMavericksMasters.com and use the code Lindsey for a discount on your registration. Take a screenshot of the screen. For my audio listeners, here it is one more time, MediaMavericksMasters.com. Okay. Yes. Now, TeeJ, as we're wrapping up, I swear this show is not long enough. It flies by so quickly. Give us the top 3 tips or the top 3 myths. You can choose whichever one you like about, booking yourself in the media.
One of the biggest myths is people think they need a publicist. Not true. I teach this to everyday people every day. They think they need to be a celebrity. Not true. They think they need a huge social media following. Not true. When I started booking myself, I think I had like 300 Facebook friends. I knew all of them. Not true. And people think they need tons of insider connections. Well, nope, not true, because you have access to the one insider connection you need. I spent 25 years working on some dope shows, so I know
ultimate connection.
I know a little something about how the inner workings and behind the scenes of TV works. But the one thing that I always like to leave interviews with, for those of you who really are serious and who have booked businesses or brands that need to be blown up in the media, there's a concept called newsjacking. Newsjacking is the art of injecting yourself into a current social media trend or news cycle or something that you can hijack for your own brand and insert yourself into the conversation or leverage it to actually pitch yourself. So some of the things that recently happened in the news recently. So you've got the athlete, I forget her name, but the athlete that Nike told to stay in her place. What is her name? Allison, does anybody remember her name? But because she got pregnant, they wanted her to stay in her place and accept less than. Girlfriend went off and launched her own apparel line and signed, So you can newsjack. If you are a women's business coach, you can newsjack that and pitch yourself. Newsjacking can get you on TV in less than 24 hours. One of my good examples is Natalie Goucher. Natalie is not one of my clients, but we follow each other. She's a social media expert. So when it came out that we were doing the aging, Allison Felix. Thank you, Renee. Hey, Renee, that's one of my fellow HBCUs and Bingo Squad. So when it came out that Facebook was doing this aging app, and we discovered it was owned by a Russian company, I put out there, hey, if you're a cybersecurity expert, if you're a social media expert, if you're a parenting expert and you know tech, then you want to newsjack that, pitch yourself, and talk about what apps are dangerous, what settings that parents need to be watching for. She was on TV in less than 24 hours about getting out there to make sure that you are helping parents. So whatever, one of my best newsjacks was with, I wrote a pitch for one of my premier clients. On this level, if I take you on as a client, I guarantee that I'm going to book you on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, or CW at least 3 times somewhere in the country. So she was one of my clients. She's a hair loss expert. And so when when Black Panther came out, I wrote a pitch that was around the scene where they put on wigs to blend in with the European casino. And then when the fight broke out, they ripped the wigs off. So I sent out a pitch that opened up with Wakanda warriors are ripping their wigs off by choice, but 46 million women must wear wigs by force. At
Mm.
one pitch, several stations got her ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox. One pitch. That is the power of newsjacking. You can pretty much newsjack anything. So to get to learn more about that, just go to, I saw Lindsey had it up, IamAnoisemaker.com. You can download my free guide. It'll take you about 15 or 20 minutes to read it, to learn more about newsjacking than what I have time to describe here. But that is the one secret that really can explode your business, book, or brand overnight.
And wasn't that so good, y'all? She just gave you all those media nuggets in just a few minutes. So again, imagine what she can do for you when you take her 10-week course. Over here in the comments, Stevie says, I have a whole degree in PR from North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. And I am telling you now that having TeeJ on your team to tell you about media is worth more than some publicists can ever do for you. She has the inside scoop. Thank you for sharing that. And again, if you want to sign up for her course, then please do yourself a favor and do that at MediaMavericksMasters.com. Use code Lindsey for $2,000 off your registration. And I hate that it's the top of the hour. So I have a question that I have to ask you. So I am all about living a first-class life. And what that means is that we are authentic in who we are. We show up boldly and unapologetically in who we are. And we shed away all those masks of fear, those masks of doubt, those masks of rejection and living up to other people's expectations of us. And instead, we are walking authentically in our purpose. We're intentional about creating our happiness and everything that comes with that, intentional about walking in our purpose, our God-given purpose, and helping others as we do that. So my question for you that I have to ask all of my happy hour guests is, how do you intentionally create happiness in your life?
Doing nothing. That really kind of is, that brings me happy because when I'm out, my energy is on level 10 and I love meeting people. And, I posted a story on Instagram the other day, how randomly I harassed this man standing in line to board the plane, and turned out he was fascinated. He had walked from New York to LA or from LA to New York, one or the other. And I'm very intentional when I'm out and about to just do what my job description, God's job description for me says, bring my kids joy. So that makes me happy when I surprise people and plan surprises, all the stuff that I have planned for the upcoming HBCU project. That really is what brings me joy and brings me happiness. When I get that, I love calling my brother on Duo, the video conference for Android, because Samsung is my sponsor. They just don't know it yet. I do not like iPhone.
You need both.
So when I call my brother, I love that first moment of my niece or my nephew recognizing it's TT and their face lights up. Like, that's the moment that I intentionally go after when I surprise them at home. And I walked in the door recently. I flew to Louisiana to be there for my niece getting baptized, and they didn't know I was coming because they know TT is busy. So I flew in just for a few hours. And so I walked in the door and you could see the joy of my nephew running to me, realize TT, that is those moments are the things that I intentionally create because they make me happy, and making others happy actually makes me happy.
Yes, I love it. And as we close the show, tell the viewers and listeners, where can they reach you? How can they stay in touch with you? Where should they follow you? How can they connect with TeeJ Mercer?
So if you're interested in going in the media, IamAnoisemaker.com will get you the free guide and into my email list. And that's, I communicate there. But like I said earlier, if you're trying to rock with me on the HBCU projects or feel like you have something of value that you can contribute, whether it's your time, your Rolodex, money, Because we are officially a 501c3 now. So I'm really excited about that. That was a hard process. Jesus. Just follow me at TeeJ Mercer all over social media, because like I said, we're still laying the foundation and building all of that out. So we'll be announcing soon kind of the things that we're going to need and things that we're going to be building, and the kind of the resources and the expertise that we'll be needing for help with.
Yes. And again, if you guys want to learn some more of media tips and tricks and how to get yourself in the media, then make sure you go to MediaMavericksMasters.com. Use the code Lindsey for a discount on your registration. And listen, make sure that you are staying updated with all things happy hour. You see it scrolling across the bottom of your screen. Go to bit.ly/happy updates to sign up for our mailing list, our VIP list, where sometimes you get happy hour specials only if you're on the VIP, but also so you can stay updated on new episodes with my phenomenal guests like the beautiful TeeJ Mercer. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we are here and we are sharing with you on the Happy Hour Show. So again, go to bit.ly/happy updates to stay updated on all things happy hour. And with that said, have an awesome, blessed and abundant day. TeeJ, do you have any final words?
No, just go out and love on some people. Act like you love people, okay?
Yes. Go out and love on some people. So, y'all, that is a wrap for today's episode of the Happy Hour Show. I'm going to chat with TeeJ backstage. Meanwhile, y'all take a look at this.